Hey, it's Mike Levin in Inwood on December 31st, New Year's Eve. I guess at about, I don't know, 5:30 p.m. or so. Out walking the big guy. Can't see him at night much. Maybe there's a shadow. Anyway, yeah, this video, Pipuli Levinix, oh yeah, reaching audience. I'm reaching an interesting type of audience out there. People who are only intermittent and occasional, and more often than not amateur and motivationally based programmers. People who don't generally program but do like to dust off, you know, a programming language once every few years when something comes up that they'd like to automate, or a file that they have to do some sort of manipulation upon. And a lot of these people have not settled on some great master language. Some have been, you know, I guess migrating to Perl because of Perl's just sheer ever-presentness on any Unix or Linux platform, which happens to include the Macintosh that has Perl pre-installed. And other people who are on more of a Microsoft platform might end up with Visual Basic more often than not in one of its many incarnations, including Visual Basic.net or Visual Basic Scripting Edition, or what people remember as VB5 and VB6 from back in the old days of Windows market dominance. That's how optimistic I am. I'm thinking those days are over. But so you got a lot of casual programmers who took up such languages as Visual Basic or Perl, and they see themselves as potentially somewhat limited by their language choice or the frequency with which they do their programming. They have to, you know, relearn everything every time. They don't have the opportunity to really practice and use the best techniques for doing a thing. And I think I'm reaching some of these people with my Python-centric messaging, and maybe resonating with some of them, because there really is languages you can take up on an amateur basis that are very, very powerful, where you can do things the best way and have code that will have life for the next 20 years. And if platforms like something to support today's ARM or x86 machine architecture are always available in virtualization via some future version of QEMU or other, then code written today could run, you know, long into the future. People assume that there's going to be some fundamental shift in technology that makes all the principles we work by today no longer relevant. That's not necessarily true. If you're building something tiny, that has to be tiny, that has to be very power efficient, there's very little harm in basing stuff on today's technology the way we know it. There will be a few little breakthroughs here and there, like unified, you know, universal memory that could be used both for access space by CPUs, the really fast kind for running programs in, and as the slow kind that's used in flash USB drives. If you've ever wondered why, you know, one type of chip is for storing stuff long-term on like thumb drives, and another type of chip was for having larger video games running, it's because there's two types of memory. One which loses its state generally when it loses power, but it can switch from one state to another very, very quickly. And that's, I believe they call it dynamic RAM. There's a few different names for it, but it's basically loses state when it loses power. And then there's static RAM, or what we mostly know these days as flash RAM. And there's a few variations of that, but you know, all the variations have the thing in common that they don't lose their state when they lose power. So you can now suddenly use them like a hard drive. So the elimination of the difference between stateful memory and memory that loses state with power will be one of the big architectural changes in future capabilities. But all this advances, all the advances that are coming using this multi-core stuff is going to more or less be able to take advantage of today's technology long into the future. So what you're learning today may potentially have a lot of life in it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The easiest way to accomplish something is sometimes the best. So Unix and Linux type systems of today, long future ahead. Instances of running code that relies on a snapshot of certain versions in time and everything, done deal. The everyday person's ability to access this world, to make use of it, to conceptualize and execute on projects, even if they're not a career programmer, even if they're not trying to be kickstarted and funded, that is an audience I'm trying to reach. People who'd like their general programming Swiss Army knife to be a good deal more powerful than just a Swiss Army knife. Perl already has the reputation as the Swiss Army chainsaw, but it's because of a certain inelegant aspect to that image. Python is a very powerful Swiss Army knife, one that can make extra attachments sort of blink into existence, because every special attachment, NumPy and SciPy, stuff like that, that anybody could have ever thought of needing has already been in development for like 10 years on Python. And so on that note, I gotta go. I'm glad I'm reaching a broader and broader audience with my videos. If you like this stuff, even in the dark, spread the word. Happy New Year. Next time I talk to you, it'll be 2015. Don't forget to subscribe.